Hello and welcome. This is AlchemistExe, and it took me a while to get this out, but this is not a week that I wanted to skip. Just because Edgar Link version is released, he's a very, very strong unit, and so I think there's definitely a good amount to talk about there. I think he's a very, very good choice for potentially quite a lot of people. So we'll get into that. Just first, a few basics. He's a water missile unit from Slothstein. He is, much like Dios Link before him, very much all in on being a damage dealer. Now he has a lot of like disruption, kind of shield bypass, buff removal, a lot of ways to debuff enemies in his kit, but overall his role is to be a ranged damage dealer, and he excels at both the range and the damage. And then to add to that, he has an excellent leader skill because he covers multiple elements with it. And then he's a pure dex scaler, which makes him fairly easy to build. He doesn't suffer from split scaling. And then there's another water dex scaler who has a map-wide buff that will make a very, very good teammate for him. I'll talk a little bit more about the synergies in a bit, but he's also a memento unit, which I always like because that means you just right out of the gate have one memento to put on them. And if you max limit break that one, you're going to end up with debuff duration +1, which is always a really good bonus for max limit break. And then if you are going for his other memento, the one that has its own 9-step, you're going to get skill use +1 on that. And that's absolutely excellent. That's one of the best, if not the best, max limit break bonus that you can get on a memento, just because, yeah, you could put a bigger damage modifier on it, but the amount of damage that you're going to get from just being able to use all of your skills in extra time is always going to be better than whatever the modifier boost would be. So yeah, what makes him so good is that he pretty much takes care of himself. He quickens himself, he does his damage, he gets CT up as a follow-up attack, then he does more damage, so you can kind of just let him go. But then he doesn't have to be self-sufficient. You can also get excellent support units to go with him that will really complement his kit. I think being water missile is a really good coupling. It's like being light slash. There's just, if you are those two things, you have a huge support network to help you, and you'll definitely excel at it, assuming you have like the moves and the modifiers, and he definitely does. So in general, I think that he is very, very high value for people that just don't have a really strong DPS unit, period, because getting him would elevate your count a lot. Or slightly more specifically, if you have a weakness in water, you just don't, like, you don't have a Nanji, you don't have, I don't know, I'd say Louis is pretty good, but if you're just lacking, or Yaris Link, if you're lacking a water unit, period, that does a lot of damage, then very high value. Or just a missile unit who does a bunch of damage, then he will definitely get the job done there. He's also very high value if you use a Nanji a lot. You can just put the two of them together and then two other people depending on the context, like maybe Lycaris if you want to boost damage, or maybe Yaris Link if you need some more damage type coverage, but two other people plus a Nanji and Edgar is going to be an absolute wrecking ball of a water element team. And then lastly, very, very high value for people that like to run water missile teams specifically, like 3 water missile damage dealers plus Lycaris would be a really good way to go, because she can just boost all stats and just water damage up while at the same time debuffing enemies for missile damage. And then if you run him with Louis, he also has a missile res down on his follow-up. So just a lot of good options. And then outside of water, units like Lifa can help him with missile damage up too. So just the sheer amount of teammates that he can work with is quite high. You could even throw Isai in there to just alchemic freeze an opponent before doing one of Edgar's giant nukes, and then build on that. It's just, the list goes on and on. So I really do think that like he is the Dios Link of this year in terms of just being this unit that if you get them and invest in them, they will just help your account a ton, and you will find them yourself using them quite a lot and with a lot of different people. You look at clear data from all kinds of different stages and you'll see Dios Link popping up all over the place. I imagine that you're going to start seeing Edgar popping up all over the place on clears, similarly to like Tearfing Link. And then I would expect to see him quite a bit in Arena too, just because of his sheer range and his sheer ability to kind of shut down defensive capabilities. I think he might be a little bit overpowered, but as much as that is the case, Dios seemed a little bit overpowered when he first came out. They will always find ways to either soft lock or hard lock their kit in some kind of way. But nonetheless, I just can't imagine that anybody who does go for him is going to regret it in any capacity. So next I'm going to jump into the banners, and then I'm also going to be doing a decent amount of summoning, which I'll talk about when that's going on. And I also want to talk a little bit more about planning for the future and like how to go for this type of unit if you are not currently able to right now. And here we are at the banners. So it's a pretty self-explanatory week for the most part. There's only really 3 options if we're grouping units and mementos together. There is Edgar, brand new unit, a memento unit for getting him, and then he has a second memento as well, as is the case for all protagonist Link units. Lisbeth is having a rerun, and then there's also a select unit / select memento 7-step banners, which are quite good. I'll talk about them last. So Edgar, 20 step with a guarantee, fairly expensive, but Taga pay is in session, so it's definitely a good time to go for him. If you want to get him right now, the best time to pay full price for a unit is when they first come out. I definitely don't think in the case of Elizabeth it's as worth it, but if you're going to do it now, and then if you don't do it now, then try to get her a much more gem efficient way in the future, because going forward she should start to appear in other ways, similarly to how you can now get Logi Link from just more general banners like the 65 5-star memento banner that we had last week. And then of course their secondary mementos are very straightforward, just a 9-step with a selector. So the more interesting banners to talk about, we saw some of these styles during the anniversary a few months ago. In general, not much has changed there. They're both 7 steps. They both have a guaranteed limited on each step, either units or mementos. Step 7 for mementos is going to give you a selector and then a multi-relief ticket so you can max limit break it. The unit 1, however, is going to give you a 375 soul shard selector, so whether or not you have the unit, it still works. I had to double check this a couple of times because I was worried that it was going to be an enlightenment shard selector, which does not help you if you don't have the unit, but I ran the translate over it multiple times and it only ever said soul fragment. It did not say eye-opening soul fragment, is normally what it says for enlightenment soul shards. So you should be good even if you go for one that you don't have. But overall, I think that it's a very good banner just because on step 4 you get a guarantee from one of the pool, and then just every step guarantees some kind of limited, maybe not one that you want, but it's better than nothing. So they're, a dud roll here is better than a normal dud roll, which is like 0 5 stars. So really the determinant is how much do you care about the units in this pool. I will say that this is one of the best ways to get Ophinius thus far. If you haven't been able to get him yet and you really, really want him, then step 7, you got him, end of story. And then, of course, same thing for the mementos for any of these characters. So I am going to do the unit 1 just because I have got a few of these units like Surzik and Ananji a little bit more recently. I would really like to get my Ananji as raised as I can. And if I can get some shards of somebody like Surzik along the way, and there's not much bad that can happen. If I got step 4 Emil Link, 100 shards of her wouldn't really do too much for me, just because she'd have to be a very, very long-term project. But other than that, everybody else could use the shards, whether it's more gates or in Lindrake's case, just more HP. He is one of my arena units, so he can never have too much HP. And then aside from that, there's like a new gear, but I don't really ever recommend rolling for gears. Just for the amount of free gears that we got recently, you'll find a way to get it eventually. That's just my stance on it. I think limited units and mementos are always the better option for spending gems. So yeah, that is it for a banner. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of summoning. Okay, so there was a slight hiccup. I lost the first bit of the recording, but luckily I was able to get right back into it, so I only lost a few seconds of footage, so no big deal. Step 1 had Irene as the guarantee. So what I wanted to talk about was a certain type of banner to look out for, which they've shown up on my channel before in the past, and I've even talked about this exact situation before, but the long and short of it is the pickup banner. Select 6 mementos, and you get like 100 coins on each step. For 1,000 coins, you can get a general selector that can get you almost any memento that would be available. They come in various forms, but the kind that I'm talking about is like every memento, every limited memento up until a certain chronological cutoff. And on those, you will find the protagonist link unit mementos, the ones that actually get you the unit. However, they're going to cost 2,000 coins rather than 1,000, but that being the case, that's exactly the same as having to go to hard pity on the dedicated banner for that link unit. So the way that I look at it is you have a fairly good chance of getting some of the other mementos along the way. It would take pretty abysmal luck to have to go like 20 steps and not get a single feature. Like, I don't think even I've been that unlucky before. I've been like half that unlucky in a few cases, but 20 steps without any feature is quite a lot. And if you're anything like me, it's very easy to think of 6 mementos that you would like to have. So being able to get something else along the way, I think is just better. And then there's always going to be a possibility you could get it early, or you could maybe end up like, even if you get it like really close to that 20th step, you could still end up getting like a selector and just get something else along the way. I just think the ceiling is much higher in that scenario. Oh man, I almost completely glossed over the fact that I just got Ein's link. That was a very pleasant surprise. Screenshot takingly pleasant. I want to send that to a friend of mine. It's just, that was really great. When I first saw this banner, I thought it was going to be just a regular 7-step with a selector, and I was like, oh, if it's a selector and you can get Ein's link on it, then I 100% will do this banner, because he's the kind of unit that I would definitely go for, being available on such a high quality banner. And then I looked into it and it's like, oh, it's not a unit selector, it's a featured pickup 375 shard selector. Then I realized that my Nanji is worth doing that for when you add the bonus of the 1,000 coins, because with this banner I'm going to be able to finish Seda, and then I can make room in my soul port for Zynlink, who I got recently as part of the 3,000th day celebration. So definitely a lot of plus sides to this banner. And then I just got a Nanji for the step 4 guarantee too, so with all of that, I'm gonna have her, like, I didn't have her gate 7 at all, so I'm gonna have that. And then I should be able to get gate 6, which, she doesn't have 2 mementos, or at least I don't have 2 mementos for. There is the general dragon memento that came out, but that's mostly a little memento. But nonetheless, just a bunch of HP for her, and overall that is gonna be great, and I'll get some other units shards taken care of too. Back to what I was saying about in my opinion, the best way to go for a memento link unit that has been out for a while. It's just, I think when the options are go for something that gives you nothing really special unless you're really lucky, because either you don't spend that many gems and you're lucky, or you get like a double pull or something and you end up with an extra 100 shards, then that's super awesome. But that's definitely not going to describe most people's experience, so I think being able to get hopefully a bunch of other extra mementos along the way is a better thing to go for. But that being said, the other aspect of it is time. So which is why I think that as far as going for a unit when they first come out, if they're really strong and they'll really change your account, then you can think of what you're paying all of those gems for is that extra time that you get to having the unit go around and helping your account be better, because that does have a certain value to it. A lot of times I usually like to look at it in the way of, like, I don't usually need the maximum amount of time. which is then going to come with the maximum amount of gems. For me, I like to get like an early point of being able to access them, but at a much smaller fraction of the overall price tag. Like for example, getting Iron's Link this way is great for me because it was a very small fraction of what it would have cost for doing his Memento banner, and he came out last January, so that was a long time ago. But I've had other units to work on and keep me busy until then, and I've got him now, and I can, do everything that I can to get him stronger from this moment forward. And that's usually the way that I like to go. And every once in a while, there will be a unit that I absolutely want to go for. And after this, I'm definitely going to go back to saving up for something. Probably something I don't know that I want yet. Maybe if like Tina is really cool. Link version for Tina when she comes out. That's definitely going to be a possibility, but we'll just have to see. So I ended up getting a full refund on here. So overall, this banner experience was one of the best. Definitely nothing short of excellent. So, okay, so I'm going to grab those 375 shards of Ananji and close out the video. So if you're summoning this week, I wish you good luck, and I will see you all next time.